I'm Karen Campbell. I'm with WJBC in Bloomington, Illinois. And I want to, before we go through my presentation, I want to do a little background on this. I was working with an account, Berkey's Farm Store, and when I got the account about 1.5 years ago, it was already locked up with another radio station, which we've all experienced. But little by little, I would stop in and I would bring him some additional information and built a relationship with him to the point where I got to this point, and I'll show you this presentation that I did in November. In doing so, I was able to incorporate a lot of the wave study, which really made a difference as far as I'm concerned. Because when I would talk with him, I would talk about our AMR numbers, and those were really wonderful, and they were very well respected. But I really believe that when I put a face onto these listeners, and I put the platform on which they're listening in front of him, it really, really made it hit home for him. So I'm going to go through this presentation really quickly. I would say to everybody that, NAFB, this research is absolutely amazing, and there's a lot of it. So if you're working with people currently, like I was, you probably don't want to walk in with all 25 slides, but you can take it in a little at a time. In my case, I was in a crunch, and I had to make it happen because I knew he was going to be making his decision. So I chose the slides that I thought would be important to him. So with that, we're looking at the value of being known among our community of farm listeners for Berkey's with WJBC. Okay, I like this slide. It talked about 83% of farmers listen to farm radio for news, weather, markets, and ag information. It's great that it breaks it down by the areas as well, so he could look and see in the Midwest. In my case, it was 85%. All ages. This was awesome. The fact that younger, 49 and younger farmers are listening to radio. One of the things that I've just found very interesting with all the new technology, and years ago they talked about television was going to put radio out of business, and then all of the other music things were going to put radio out of business. And to see these statistics and see that 84% of 49 and younger farmers are listening to radio was just an amazing statistic to see. I think overall people thought that they were all going to be older listeners, and this is what we found out. They are not. They listen multiple days a week, and so we went through some of these statistics. So they're not just listening once or twice, they're tuning in on a regular basis, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Look at the 5 days. So they're there all the time. It's mobile. It's available in multiple locations. So again, when we're talking about the technology, it's not just their radios they're listening to. They're listening on their laptops or their desktops or their iPads or iPods or whatever, but it's very mobile. Now this is what I loved. When we started talking about the farm broadcasters, they are so held in such high regard by our farm listeners. They build relationships with them, they look forward to hearing from them, and they are considered very, very credible and trustworthy. So I'm explaining this to my client who's nodding his head because he too is a farmer. Local farm broadcasters are very highly rated on providing accurate information. So again, and it breaks it down by the territories. Rank your farm broadcaster on a 1 to 10. Love these slides. Radio is an important part of farmers and ranchers' day. Now when I started putting faces on these AMR numbers that I had, I think this had a huge impact on my success. So we're looking at a guy drinking his coffee in the morning, and we're looking at a guy out in the barn, and he's listening to the radio. Then we look at his son, and we look at his kids, and his oldest son who farms with him. He also has a full-time job, but he's still listening to the radio. They're on the move. Radio goes with them. They use their truck radios, tractor radios, home radios, everything. So as I said before, it is very mobile. They don't have to be locked in to their radio or their transistor back at home. So what I did was I talked about our objectives, which we had determined earlier in our conversations, and that was to place them, be the place to go for agricultural, construction, lawn, and garden equipment. We want to drive customers to their website, easy access 24/7, and increase their email base, exclusive email offers, Facebook followers, increase web traffic, and store traffic. And then I had my proposal for them. There's one slide also that I had showed him another time that I just really, really like, and that is the take a picture of your radio and where they're listening. And if you've seen that from NAFB, you know, you'll see literally a transistor radio, you'll see a maybe 80s, 90s receiver, you'll see the car dash, you'll see just about everything. And I just love this slide because it shows that regardless of the technology, you can still listen to radio. So with that, I went in with this final presentation and my ask, knowing that he was going to be making the decision fairly quickly. Now, as you see, I was doing this late last year. The schedule doesn't start until the 17th of April, but my feeling is if you're getting buying signals saying, yeah, I've got a contract, I got to get over the contract, once I do that, then I can, you know, then we can put this together, I'm fine with that. But I can also sit there and say, if you're happy with this and this is something you want to do, let's wrap it up right now. And I'm happy to say that that's exactly what he did. And so I was able to get this person who had been a tough guy to get a hold of, and had his relationship at another radio station and had his budget locked up, is now going to be advertising on WJBC in 2016 and 17. So that's what I have to offer.
Karen, you talked a little about incorporating some of the pictures, and even though you're at that regional level where you've been able to demonstrate the different farmers that listen and people would have better interaction, how much of a difference did that make then by being able to include that with research that wasn't necessarily your local guys, but people that were still real, that were answering some of those questions that we sent out in the different studies?
Oh, I think it's tremendous to be able to say, for example, that you know, when we're putting this research together, these are the people. These are the people that you want to reach. There's no extra. There's no I hate to use the word waste, but you know, there are no listeners that wouldn't be somebody that you would be interested in talking to. And again, putting some faces on these numbers that you're talking about, and if you don't have AMR, I think this is really critical because it puts a face on the people that they're trying to reach. They're telling you that your farm broadcaster is important to them. They have a relationship. The information is credible. They listen in the morning. They listen 5 times a day. They tune around from time to time. You know, they're just always there. And this research, at least for me, has been very, very exciting. And as I said, I would, as you're working with people, you know, you probably don't want to throw all of it in front of them at once, but you sure have a lot of great information to just get back in the door with. Maybe you take a couple of pieces the first time, and then you call for an appointment. You say, I have some more information I would like to bring by, and you can do that, you know, a number of times with what we've been provided by NAFB, to the point where you get where I did with this gentleman, and just have developed a great relationship. I provided him with great information, and he finally became very comfortable with saying yes.
And there's a question that's come in from Paul. He's wanting to know, what software did you use to create all your slides?
what software did I use? I literally took the NAFB deck and I popped them into a PowerPoint. I mean, it's easy. All you do is you click on the slide, you copy it, and you paste it into your PowerPoint, and you're off to go, and it's ready, and it looks great.
And then as a follow-up to that as well, do you find that you're usually using PowerPoints, or do you sometimes print out your presentations and do them with paper, or most of your presentations done with the computer?
You know, it's a little bit of both. It just kind of depends on the room, and if there's going to be a comfortable opportunity to be able to do it with a laptop. I'll tell you, I really kind of almost prefer just using the paper presentations. They follow along easily. The space is right, and that works for me. But if you have the ability to either do it on a laptop, or if they've got a projector or something like that, then wow, go for it. Because the bigger these slides are, the better they look, the more impressive they are. So I would say either way, but I did this particular presentation just on a piece of paper.
Okay. And finally, are you being asked about other kind of research after you show them the research that you've included in a presentation like this? Do you usually get asked about any other data that's available?
Oh, absolutely. To the point where they look forward to me having additional information. And like I said earlier, there's so much good stuff, and we know there's more coming, that you can just be a constant source of information for them, and they look forward to it. This was just, I just can't say enough how much I loved having this information that put faces and people and places and made it a little bit more tangible has been for me. So I'm really, really excited to get that out there and use it some more.
Great. I think I've now got Don on the phone line where folks will be able to hear him. Don, let's give it a test run here, and I'll get the screen set up for your presentation in the meantime.
Can you hear me this? Well, appreciate it, Tom, and thanks for your patience, and I'd like to reiterate a lot of what Karen said. I really think what this research does, it gives us a chance to open the door with a lot of our clients. It's a whole lot easier to get an appointment with a buyer when you've got something to give them, and in this case, it's the education, the information, the research that we're able to provide that's very useful to our clients. The association has been putting out a tremendous amount of research this past year, quality research, a lot of different forms, everything from AMR to the Ipsos study to Millennium. We've got so many pieces of research. It's really a great tool for us as an organization. The way I look at it, this gives us a chance to bring some extra value to that agency or that advertiser, and we serve as a resource. Tom, can you move that slide ahead? I don't seem to have that connection here. Great. So when you look at what I've put together, this is an example of a presentation I did this past year. You're going to find I'm not really big into charts and graphs. I think it's you're trying to keep that attention of that buyer, and so I try to be as visual and probably show a lot more white space than probably some of the other presentations. But what I took is really the highlights that I see out of, in this case, the media usage study, and I go right to the key points. What's the takeaway? And for me, the one thing we like to emphasize is program content. So this study talks about program content and the impact that it has on the listener. That's what they're tuning in for as far as farm information, news and information programming. And that's exactly the type of message that we're trying to move forward as well. Let's see, can I move this here? There we go. So as part of that, the study told us that first and foremost, the listeners are looking for up-to-date weather information and market information. So what I've done is try to localize the slide in our presentation, in this case, with photos that really help to demonstrate that story. There's a photo that you might see there with some market analysts that we have on the air quite frequently. This happened to be at a farm event that we showcased some market analysts in a seminar. So we're able to showcase that relationship that we have with the market analysts and in turn how it works with the farm audience. Same thing, we're able to showcase a photo of our meteorologist. So we take that takeaway message and try to localize it with our what relates to our network. The study also speaks to the credibility of our farm broadcasters. We think it's really important to put a face on that effort and showcase the members. In that case, here's a member of our team. It's Mike Hergert. We have 4 broadcasters in our shop, but this photo happens to be actually from a Washington Watch shot. But it really helps to demonstrate, I think, the credibility and the trust that our listeners have with the farm broadcasters. The NAFB provides a lot of great information. They break down the answers by region. They do demographics by age. I think that's extremely valuable. Our network only serves the Midwest, so I take out that information and in this case, put together a graph of my own just to showcase the Midwest side of it. I value all of the information that comes from NAFB, but I don't need to showcase the other parts of the region. I just showcase the Midwest in this case. Same story here. I use the NAFB research, but create my own chart just to keep that focus on the Midwest, and likewise show one of our farm broadcasters interviewing a local producer. The study also asked farmers to list the benefits of farm radio versus other mediums. A lot of times I think we take it for granted, but our advertisers, for them, I think it's very important that we show how easy it is to use farm radio in this case. It's hands-free, it's convenient. You're able to do a lot of other things while you're listening to farm radio and getting that valuable information. I think this is sometimes one of those moments that the agencies almost, it's like an aha moment. They sometimes forget that other mediums you have to pull out your phone and pull up an app, or you have to page through the print. Here we've got a real convenient medium for them. This continues with some other research that NAFB has done. I continue in the presentation. NAFB has invested a lot of money in different research efforts. There's different methodology. I like to showcase the methodology. In this case, it helps reinforce the findings that we have when we're able to show what they've done. And you can see that we've had, at this point, when I made this presentation, we had 3 waves that were completed. Of course, now the 4th wave is done. But the buyers like to see how the studies were conducted, and this slide helps to offer that information. Like I said earlier, I believe in a lot of visuals. So again, our network highlights a key takeaway message from the research and ties it together with the visual. In this study, it really helps to showcase something that we think is very important. We're in this age of social media and smartphones. This slide from NAFB helps to showcase that farmers of all ages are listening to farm radio, and we really like to hit that message home to any agency or client that we're talking about. And this slide reinforces that, demonstrates a further breakdown of those demographics. We like to hit home that fact that you can see on there the youngest audience, those younger than 40 years of age, are spending the most time with farm radio. So that's very valuable. I think, again, something that the buyers, it's something that they appreciate, that information. Again, here it's one of those things that we've pulled out of the research that we saw as a real takeaway, and we tie it again with a visuals to showcase the research, but you're going to grab that attention of that buyer longer if we can show them pretty pictures. In addition to the research that's been organized by NAFB, we use other forms of research. This tidbit came out of Advertising Age publication, and it reinforces the value of radio. This was in this particular presentation that I made. It was able to follow up again by localizing it. we're talking about that consumer study in that case and relating it back to our farm audience. We know farmers spend a lot of time behind the wheel, whether they're hauling grain or spraying crops or harvesting a crop. And we've got a captive audience every time they're behind that wheel with farm radio. So we like to emphasize that as well. So that's just a portion of kind of the presentation that we would do. We start off with the research. I really think that's our way to walk through the door and provide that information. And from that point, we generally provide more information on our network and get into the proposal. But having this research gives us that face time that we want with the buyers. And hopefully we leave by giving them some valuable information. And it really helps us with our current clients and our potential clients as well.
Don, talk a little bit about the fact that your presentation might be a little different than Karen's, in the fact that you'd have both some regional advertisers for the network as well as some ad agencies that you'd visit with. So you've got a mixture of research there, and you've also got some localization with including some of your farm broadcaster pictures as well as some of the study pictures in the data there.
Well, a lot of times when we visit an agency, some people in the room may have already seen the research. I think for us it's always good to be back in there with behind NAFB and be able to carry our message, reinforcing some of the takeaway points that came out of that research, but then localizing it to our audience. And at the same time, we've got local clients as well. It's always fun when you start pulling up this presentation and, hey, that's our neighbor down the road, or that's one of my customers. Those visuals always get them talking.
And the same question that I'd ask Karen about as well. Do you get asked about additional research that's not included in your presentation?
Do I get asked about that?
Do you ask if there's some other research that you don't have included in your presentation?
I think a lot of times we have some very knowledgeable clients that we're dealing with, and I think a lot of times they're asking more about maybe what the next step would be in research, or they're providing some ideas of things that we should be doing in the future. And I think it's always valuable when you're able to take that message back and say you can deliver it to NAFB or whoever.
Again, if anyone has any questions, they can type those in on the left-hand side of the screen where it says Q&A in the box there. Lynette had asked a question about these presentations being available to folks that have been on the call this afternoon, and we'll have links to those posted in the closing screen of our webinar this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and switch some screens over here, and Mindy Oberly is with us. She's going to do a screen share and just let folks know a little bit about where the information that NAFB has available on our website is posted at. That's of course accessible for all of our NAFB member entities that are out there, and a lot of good information coming together, and really some new information I know that Mindy's been able to pass along this week as well.
Okay. What I wanted to do was just Tom wanted me to show everybody where we are housing the research online. You need to be logged in first off and foremost, because you need to be logged in while in order to access the data. But if you go to NAFB.com, as you see here on my monitor, go to the tab that says More, and there is a button at the bottom that says Research. And when you click on Research, it will show you all of the research specs that have been made public or that are available to members. And so the one that was just sent out on Tuesday is going to be the most current one, the one that will be on the top, and that's how we will always put them, is that they're always on the top. And I include, so the final one, February 16th, is the one that went out Tuesday in the email. That is the final wrap up of the research with Millennium. And then we have wave 1 and 3, which is what was presented at convention. And then there's the AMR questions from 2014 to 2015. Karen referenced the photos. There is a PowerPoint deck in there with just the pictures, and I will update that with some of the new photos as well too. But you can see this is going to house all the research that the association has done. It even includes the 2006 Rural Lifestyle Report, which I would say about every other month I still get somebody who wants me to send them that, but 2006 is getting quite old in terms of the rural lifestyle and how media consumption has changed drastically from 2006. So that is where a lot of that research is. One of the other things I wanted to show you all that are on the phone call is if you go to the blog section, you can usually get to that from the area on the side or e-chats. One of the things that we did this year, or that we did at NCBA and we are also doing at Commodity Classic, and this goes back to what Karen was saying about adding the human, adding the element of who's listening to radio, is that at the show, as people sat by the booth and filled out our quick form, we also asked them if they would tell us why they listen and if we could take their photo. And you will see that some of these are included in the deck that I sent out on Tuesday. But this is just another great way to show advertisers who is listening to farm radio. And it varies from this first photo with a bunch of college kids. I don't know where they go to school at, but they all listen to farm radio, and we had them take a photo together to a young couple that they listen to it individually. And I think it's just a great way that you can go back to your advertisers and go, here's who's listening. And I've been trying to find ways to incorporate them into the decks, and I will be as we get more at Commodity Classic as well too. And I know the font is hard, the text, their handwriting is hard to read on the photos, but if you download them, it'll be easier to read. This gentleman he hits the 8.2% statement that Karen, 8.2 rating on Farm Broadcaster. He trusts the Farm Broadcaster, which is why he listens. So this is just some more photos to show who is listening to farm radio. And it is across the board. It's young, it's old. It shows that everybody who's engaged in agriculture is listening to farm radio. It's not just limited demographics. One of the other things that I wanted to remind everybody on the phone as I was looking at the list of folks who had registered is to please take some time to update your NAFB planner profile. It is crucial that we get these updated. I've been going through them and seeing who needs to update. I've got a list of people that I'm going to call that have either added sales staff, have added broadcasters, have had a broadcaster leave, but it's critical that we get this updated. We just continually get a lot of requests and information about the planner, and if you have any questions about it, like I know that these folks have, Eddie's got his updated, Terry Loomis and Nick Kajar have theirs laid out as well too. So if you have any questions about how to update your planner profile, please send me a note because it's a different login and password than the NAFB planner. It's a different address on the admin side. So that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about, was just to show you where the research is living on the site. Reminder that you need to be logged in and you need to be a member. Either Broadcast Council, Management, Sales, or Allied Industry, they all have access to that research tab. And that if you have not looked at your NAFB planner profile at the station or network, now's the time to do it. And if you have questions, please reach out to me and I will help you get it updated.
Thanks so much, Mindy. As we wrap some things up this afternoon, I want to let you know we do have a few other webinars that are being planned here in the next few months ahead. We're going to tackle co-op advertising. Also going to get into the discussion about internet advertising profit streams. We know some members that have been able to maximize some things there. And then had another request about doing a presentation similar to what we had at convention, working with advertising agencies And we hope that this has been a benefit for you today. Want to leave you with one final note here, and that's we have a lot of farmer testimonials. So if you're utilizing videos in your presentations when you go out and visit with your different clients, the NAFB website has farmer testimonials that are available as well, and we'll play a few of those for you. Files are available to download over here on the left-hand side of your screen, and we'll look forward to visiting with you sometime soon. Thanks so much.